Hi, my name is Allie, and for my macroeconomics presentation, I did the United States exchange rate and the importing and exporting levels of the United States. So, first, I'm going to talk about the United States exchange rate. Comparing the United States American dollar to the euro, it is currently at 0.7782. The American dollar is worth less because of unemployment levels, and the dollar keeps appreciating while unemployment increases. And the United States actually imports more than they export, which is also another factor into this. And then the chart to the right just shows different currencies, like the Chinese yuan, and just different currencies compared to the American dollar and where we stand. And it does change every day. It doesn't change drastically every day, but it does change depending on what companies are importing or what they're exporting. Next, I did the United States imported products. The number one product imported in the United States is industrial products. Um, the crude oil is actually half of the industrial products that is imported. And to the right, there's a diagram showing up how the crude oil is broken down and what it's used for. And the graph below shows the imported products for the past 10 years. And it just kind of gives you an idea of how much we have increased our imports in the United States. And then the next most imported product in the United States is capital goods, which has 24% of imports. And then it's automotive vehicles, parts, and engines, which is 13% of imports. And then consumer goods, which is 12%. And finally, foods, feeds, and beverages, which is 5% of imports. Next, I'm going to talk about the United States exported products. The most exported product in the United States is industrial products. This is 34% of our exports. Next is the capital goods, which is 33% of our exports. And then agricultural products, which is 9%. And automotive parts, which is 9% of our exports. Next, I'm going to talk about our importing partners. The main importing partners for the United States is China, the European Union, Canada, and Mexico and Japan. China has 18% of our imports. The European Union has 16% of imports. Canada has 14%. Mexico has 12%, and Japan has 5%. Next, I'm going to talk about the United States exporting partners. The United States is the number one exporting partner to Canada. Next is the European Union. The third is Mexico. The fourth is China. And the fifth is Japan. These exporting partners are also important to us because they are also our importing partners. And then to the left, there's just a diagram showing our top trading partners in the year of 2011, so a graph that's kind of recent. And then I also did research on where the United States stands for exporting. And according to the Trading Economics, the United States is the third largest exporter in the world. And then the chart to the left below shows the world trade in 2009, the top 20 exporters. And China is the first, the second is Germany, the United States is third, Japan is fourth, and then so on and so forth. And then I also looked into the trade deficit with China because we do a lot of trading with China. Most of our imports are from China. And the table below just represents the past 10 years from 2001 to 2011 of what we export to China, what we import from them, and what they export to us, and that. And then at the very bottom line below, it just shows the levels of the trade deficit that we have with China. Next, I'm going to talk about our survey. We had a total of 10 questions and we had 52 responses in total. So we first asked what your age was to get an idea of who was taking our survey. We had 35 people for 18 to 24. We had 6 people for 25 to 34. We had 4 people for 35 to 44. We had 6 people for 45 to 54 and 1 for 55 to 64. Our first question was we just wanted to get a general idea of what people know about the exchange rate in the United States. So we asked people what they thought it was compared to the euro. And most responses were for the point 0.7, um, which was correct. But there was also a lot of responses for point 0.9, which would make sense if people recently haven't done research like within the past 2 years, or they haven't looked it up within the past 2 years. That is, I believe, what it was 2 years ago. And then the 1.20 response, that I didn't find that surprising either, because that's actually what, from looking at the euro to the American dollar is. Next, we asked, what do you believe is the most exported product in the United States? Our most popular answer was agricultural products, which I thought was kind of interesting. And then next was industrial products, and then capital goods, and then oil products. Next, we asked, what do you believe is the most imported product in the United States? We had a vast majority of people say oil products, which people know that we go through a lot of. We also had a couple responses for industrial products and automotive and capital goods, and we had 5 responses for agricultural products. And then I asked people, are you concerned about the United States exchange rate, and why or why not? We had 25 say yes, I had 18 say no, and 2 possibly, and 7 not sure. For the responses for why or why not, some people are concerned about the depreciating dollar, and some people were also concerned about the national debt increasing even more, which is at about 16 billion, I think it was, or something like that. And then the responses that said no, they said the exchange rate doesn't concern me, or I don't really care because prices are outrageous already, so there's nothing I can do to fix it. And then I asked, who do you believe is the main exporter in the world, and where do you believe the United States stands? Most of the responses were for China, which is true. I also had a couple of combination answers. Some people said China and Japan. Some thought China, Japan, and Germany, which are all very big exporters. And then I had a couple of people just generalize the answer of saying Asia, and I had a couple not sure. And then for the responses of where the United States stands, the most popular answer was third, which is right. And then I had a lot of people respond to like very low answers, which I thought was kind of interesting. And then there was also a lot of people that just skipped the answer in general. I'm not sure if it was just lack of information or they just didn't want to answer. And next, I asked, do you believe the exchange rate in the United States has changed from this past recession? I had 42 say yes, I had 9 say no, and I had 1 person skip this question. And then I asked, what country do you believe the United States import most from? This answer had a lot of responses to China. There's 45. And then I had 3 responses to Mexico, 2 to Japan, 1 to the European Union, and 1 person skipped this question. And then I asked, what country do you believe the United States exports most to? I had 14 to the European Union, 15 to Mexico, 7 to Canada, 9 to China, 5 to Japan, and 2 people skipped. And then I finally asked, if you had the choice, would you buy products from the United States and pay a little more, or buy products from other countries and pay a little less? And I also asked why. I had 37 people say pay more, and I had 8 people say pay less, and I had 7 not sure. The responses as to why, most people, or a vast majority of people, responded with they want to support our economy more, they want to get back on their feet and lower the unemployment. And then the next most popular answer as for pay more was they want better quality products because they believe that the United States follows more regulations than China does or other countries do. The reasons, as the people said, pay less was because they want to help other people because we are already ahead of everybody already as it is, and we don't need to get any more ahead of anybody. Some people just said it's cheaper to send jobs out of the country, it's more efficient, and in the end. And then I had a lot of not sure responses as to this. They just gave their opinion as to yes or no. So my conclusion of my data and results, there's a direct link between the fluctuation of the exchange rate and the levels of importing and exporting in the United States. And the United States has a major trade deficit with China. The imports are exceeding exports by billions of dollars, which is why the dollar keeps depreciating, and it's also outsourcing more jobs though too because we import so much from other countries. And this is my works cited page, and that concludes my presentation.